Welcome back to Movie Summary. Today we are diving into a film called Evil Intent. The movie begins with a nurse walking in a hospital. Her name is Gwen. She enters the room of a patient who wonders where has she been. Gwen looks at her with a smile and finishes her by sabotaging her machine. She then leaves and screams for help, pretending she just discovered the inactive patient. As the rest of the team try to save the patient, Gwen looks at them with a smile. But at this moment, the patient comes back to herself and Gwen looks annoyed. We then jump into a beautiful house. Mira and Todd are a couple living in it with their son Max. Max comes in and Mira reminds him if he wants to come downstairs he needs to ask for help. Max then wonders where is the nurse taking care of him. She then comes in. It's Gwen. Mira tells her husband how hot he is while Gwen stares at them. Later that day, Karen, a friend from Mira, comes to visit her. At this moment, Gwen spies on their conversation. Mira confesses to her friend she isn't comfortable with Gwen. Karen agrees and advises her to get another nurse. Second later, they hear Max screaming. They run to check and find that Max fell. Mira screams at Gwen on why wasn't she watching him. But Gwen repeats that she was watching him. That same night, Mira apologizes to Gwen for snapping at her. The next day, Mira goes to an anonymous meeting group about parents with special kids. She recalls when it happened to Max. She is in tears as yesterday's event brought back the memories of the first time. She then goes home and Gwen offers her some tea. Minutes later, she doesn't feel good and lay down. Meanwhile, Dr. Keller, Max's doctor, comes home to drop the new crutches. She wants to see Mira or Max but Gwen says they are sleeping. Dr. Keller then realizes Gwen is familiar to her for some reasons but can't remember why. That same night, Gwen goes to Dr. Keller's house. She reminds her from where she knows her. Dr. Keller was the doctor saving that patient from the beginning of the film. Keller, remembering the incident, screams at Gwen that she tried to kill that patient. Gwen proceeds then to finish her. Meanwhile, Mira receives a Zoom call from another parent who was referred by a member of the anonymous group. The man says he goes through the same struggle as hers. He thanks a lot for having a nurse. We are then shown that the man is actually Gwen transforming her voice. The next day, Karen comes to visit Mira. She unfortunately spills some water on Todd's shirt. He removes it and Gwen stares at his body for a second. That same night, the anonymous parent calls to check on Mira. Mira tells him she is just feeling so weird this couple of days. The parent, which Gwen named David, tries to flirt with Mira but then hangs up. Gwen immediately rushes downstairs pretending to wonder who is David. She then tells Todd that Mira was talking with some guys. She also adds that she thinks Mira is starting to have some issues. Days later, Todd approaches Gwen wondering why is Mira still sleeping. Her condition isn't getting better. But at this moment, she comes downstairs and says she is starting to lose memory. Gwen then offers her another one of her teas. And minutes later, Mira faints in the stairs. Gwen takes this opportunity and tells Mira she will take her blood to the hospital for some tests. The next day, Todd finds Mira who fell asleep on the couch. He checks her phone and finds she was talking to David. Gwen comes to check on her and Mira wakes up. She shares with her that she has been receiving anonymous emails saying David is fake. Later that day, Mira is back at work with Karen. She informs her that Gwen came with the test and she has nothing in her blood. But Karen suggests to get a second opinion from another doctor. At this moment, the anonymous guy sends another email saying her son may be dangerous. He wants to meet as soon as possible. That night, she shares it with Gwen, who tries to discourage her to go. But the next day, Mira ends up going to meet that guy at a coffee shop. The guy says he is the real David and someone has been using his identity. But Mira doesn't believe him. They then leave the cafe and Todd is in a car stalking them. He gets the wrong idea. Meanwhile, Karen comes to visit Mira but Gwen says she is taking nap. Karen had enough and snaps at Gwen. She knows she is up to no good. She threats her that if she is messing with this family, she is also messing with her. This infuriates Gwen, who grabs a vase and knocks Karen out. She then drives her to a closed area. At this moment, Todd calls her saying he saw them together. He is heartbroken. He followed David and Gwen asks for the address. She then heads to his apartment. David opens and is surprised it's Gwen. She was the nurse taking care of his late wife. Gwen then gets mad at him for not being able to see a future with her back in the days. David then realizes that what happened to his late wife was Gwen's fault. He goes for her but she stabs him and leaves. That same night, Todd comes back home drunk. Gwen welcomes him and wants to get him cleaned up, so she takes him upstairs while slowly removing his clothes. Todd wonders what is she doing. She tells him she just want to help him take off his clothes. He pushes her away saying he can do it on his own. Gwen then kisses him out of nowhere and Todd is shocked. He tells her to go to sleep. She insists and he rejects her. Gwen is in disbelief and leaves. She is even in tears. The next morning, Todd wakes up and bumps into Gwen. She makes him believe that he said some nice things about her. He is confused and leaves the house. Meanwhile, Mira is still sleeping on the couch. She finally wakes up in the middle of the day and sees that Gwen left her some tea like usual. She tries to call Karen but it goes to voicemail. She then hears her voicemail. There is one from the fake David. She hears it and realizes he uses the same expressions that Gwen uses. She then pours the tea in the sink and finds some weird residues in it. She is shocked, so she decides to go to Gwen's room. There, she finds a bunch of pills. At this moment, Gwen comes back home with Max. She is surprised Gwen is up and not laying weak on the couch. So she gives up more of her tea to drink. As soon as Gwen and Max leave the house, Mira calls David, who starts yelling at her about her and David. Mira tells Todd that they are in danger. It's Gwen. She is on her way to the police. At this moment, Gwen comes back home and Mira notices some blood on her face. She then tries run away but Gwen threats her with Max. She tells her she will drive Mira to him. On the way, Mira wonders why is she doing this. Gwen responds that with Todd and Max she feels like she found her family. At this moment, Todd comes back home running searching for his wife and son. He finds Myra's phone and comes to a video shot by her showing the evidences of Gwen drugging her. Subsequently, Gwen brings Mira to a house and reveals she killed Dr. Keller and Karen. Mira goes to search for Max but can't find him. Gwen laughs saying Max is at school and she brought her here to finish her. But Mira tries to run away and both women end up fighting. Gwen has the upper hand but Mira knocks her out of nowhere. She then runs outside in tears and drives off. We then jump to a few days later. The family is going for a little walk and Mira is feeling better. The movie then ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out other movie summaries we have on our channel.